Today, something I heard the glitch mob do, and let's dive straight in. Notice the bits in pink, they're slightly different. In fact, you can, from the title of the video and what you see on the right, you can see how they're different, but there's some insights. But first of all, let me show you. Reversed, and it creates a much more interesting feel, or I suppose some people call it a turnaround in particular. It's cool, right? Much nicer than simply playing it straight. It's subtle, but makes a big difference. Anyway, there are three things to know. First of all, write the melody. You can see here is the original melody, which I then duplicated and made a variation. The variation being this guy here, which I call a fill, almost like a drum fill, just like drums. So double it and make a variation. The variation being called a drum fill. That's why I call it a synth fill. Then simply reverse some of the fill notes individually. So this note creates this. Just do it with arrows. So this note in the original MIDI reversed is this, and this note in the original MIDI reversed is this. Simply bounce to audio and reversed. However, for this to work nice and subtly, you'll actually want to turn off any time-based effects. So we're talking delay and reverb. Here's the original preset from arguably my favorite preset pack, Coda from Echo Soundworks. And what I did is turn off the delay, reverb, and the effects afterwards to make sure the processing chain is consistent. But yes, as you can see, I turned off the delay, reverb, and everything else afterwards. In the original preset, these four were turned on. The reason being the delay and reverb create this additional tail, which I don't want to be in the reversed section. I don't want it to sound like a reverse effect. I want it to be this subtle change, this subtle variation, almost like a different synth, but the same. The trick here though is adding this delay and reverb back on afterwards, which in the case of something like Serum, you can actually do quite easily. So I grabbed a Serum, so yes, I grouped all the various components. Added Serum effects, and here's something cool you may not know. If you choose the same preset, so I chose Echo Soundworks Coda. This isn't a sponsored video, by the way. It's just one of my favorite preset packs, and that loads up just the effects from that preset. Therefore, I can turn off everything before the delay and reverb. It's the same processing chain, just in these two sections, these two bits of processing. Finally noting, you may, depending on the thing you're reversing, you may need to chop the front or back bits off. So you can see here, for example, there's that. Well, I suppose it's kind of an attack now, but it was the release component of the original sound. But I reversed it, of course. So I chopped that off. Sometimes you might want to keep it. Sometimes you might want to chop it. It really depends on the MIDI you're using. Maybe even just have one of them with an attack, which remember was the release originally. But it's all personal preference. You can see here, for example, I actually didn't reverse the final fill note. The fill had 3 notes and I just reversed the first 2, keeping the third of the fill notes not reversed, giving this lovely almost turnaround effect. Noises, buttons, fun. It's a trick I heard the glitch mob do when I was driving in my car listening to their songs. It's a cool trick, and it's probably worth noting is it tends to be best to use this subtly, actually. As I say, you don't want to hear this as this big obvious reverse effect, but more as this subtle variation, almost like a turnaround. In fact, I think people sometimes call these bits turnarounds. I call them synth fills. In the same way you have a drum fill, so a consistent drum pattern, and then at the end of a duplicated section, you do a bit of extra thing. A drum fill, but it's for synths, as I've just shown you anyway. But yes, I did hear that in a glitch mob song. I can't remember the name, but that's not important. It's what is important is the general concept and experimentation, and the point about basically bouncing it out dry and then adding the effects back on afterwards, and also the sequencing. So write the melody first. So write the original melody, duplicate it, then write the fill, and then reverse each note individually. Then after the fact, piece it together back into the original melody shape. Or bounce out each note individually, whatever you prefer. My name is Multiplier. I shall catch you guys on the flippity flip.